Hello everyone! Last week, for the very first time, I conducted a poll on my channel asking which of 5 Gamera movies you would like me to review. As you can see, 197 of you participated, and with 46% of the vote, the winner was Gamera vs. Barugon from 1966. So that's what I'm reviewing today. A group of men travels into the jungle of New Guinea in search of an opal estimated to be worth millions. The temptation of such wealth leads one member of the group to betray the others, but it turns out the opal isn't an opal at all. When it's accidentally incubated under the heat of an infrared light, a creature hatches. This is Barugon, a monster with freezing abilities that ends up going on a destructive campaign against Osaka. Japanese self-defense forces and scientists, taking advice from a New Guinea native familiar with the mythical monster, try to stop Barugon with no success. But as they run out of options, help arrives from an unexpected quarter. Hint hint, it's Gamera! This film, Daikaiju Keto Gamera Tai Barugon, or Great Monster Duel Gamera vs. Barugon, was directed by Shigeo Tanaka and is the second film in the series. It begins with a recap of the first film, which had come out the year before, reminding us of Gamera's origin and where he was headed the last time we saw him. It then smoothly transitions from black and white to color, as it explains how he ended up returning to Earth. While the film starts with Gamera, though, he doesn't show up again for a long time, and he really only appears in 3 major sequences. This film is more about Barugon, or rather, it's split pretty evenly between Barugon and the human characters. I had to laugh at the obvious introduction of the bad guys. There's some ambiguity at first, especially when our fresh-faced protagonist joins them. He's obviously a good kid, so this group must not have evil intent, right? But the grenades, the gun, and the smoking say otherwise, and also the one guy wearing sunglasses in a dark room is a walking red flag. It turns out this is a tale about a good guy, Keisuke, getting mixed up with bad company. Keisuke is played by Kojiro Hongo, who appeared in 4 Gamera films, including Gamera Guardian of the Universe. Keisuke is a pilot who joins the group in place of his older brother, who was the one that discovered the opal in the first place during the war and hid it, but can't go after it himself because of his limited mobility. Keisuke learns the hard way that you should never go on a treasure hunt with greedy, unscrupulous people, because the whole time they're calculating how much richer they'd be if they had fewer people to share the treasure with. The main human antagonist is Onodera, who asks Keisuke at one point, "What's the matter? Don't you trust me?" No! Don't trust a guy who keeps his shades on all the time. Unless he has eye trouble, and it's never indicated that he does, he's either super sketchy or a tool. In this case, it's the former. Onodera is a real nasty piece of work, who will resort to any treachery to obtain the opal, and there's one fight scene that's particularly brutal. Among his various evil deeds, Onodera leaves Keisuke for dead in a collapsed cave. When he's rescued by the natives and nursed back to health in their village, a remorseful Keisuke volunteers to escort Karen, the native girl who speaks fluent Japanese, played by Kyoko Inami, to Japan to get the opal back. Gradually, a little romance develops between them, which is never a guaranteed development in these Japanese kaiju movies. I learned not to expect that a long time ago. There is one scene where Keisuke's arm gets cut and Karen sucks on the blood for him, and I get it's supposed to be a tender moment, but ugh. Couldn't we have done something else? Other than that, though, their relationship is a nice extra component. On the whole, this film has a more overtly serious human storyline, with a compelling protagonist who feels at least partially responsible for the deaths, destruction, and despair that have resulted from his participation in the ill-fated quest. Now, as one of you pointed out before, Barugon, the Daiei property, is not to be confused with Barugon, the Toho property, which first appeared in 1965's Frankenstein vs. Barugon, then in Destroy All Monsters, and in Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All-Out Attack in 2001. They do have their similarities. They're both quadrupeds with long swishy tails and a horn sticking out of their forehead, but they are two different kaiju. When baby Barugon emerges from the opal egg, or chrysalis, it's kinda cute. Not really. I don't think it's actually that cute. It's small, but it's still gross. It rapidly grows, thanks as usual to some helpful radiation, into a giant monster that goes on a rampage. Barugon, referred to in the film as a lizard monster, is mostly shot in the dark, so it's hard to get a great look at him, but he seems to me like a dinosaur that's a cross between an alligator and a rhinoceros, with spikes that partially light up before he attacks. Something that makes him unique is his tongue. It's stiff like a rod, so he can punch with it, or he can use it to shoot out a vapor that freezes everything it touches. This was something different and new, although I do think the punchy protuberance itself looks a little silly. As you can imagine, his freezing power means there's not quite as much city destruction as usual, though if that's what you come for, the movie still delivers. But there's also the opportunity for some different special effects. The other thing he's capable of is shooting a rainbow beam out of his spikes, an even more striking visual. This is the power that flummoxes the self-defense force the most, because how do you fight a rainbow? It's established in the opening that Gamera is attracted to major energy sources. We see him attacking a dam, and presumably he's roaming around Japan doing stuff like that while this business with Barugon is unfolding. So when Barugon emits his rainbow beam to stop a missile strike, Gamera's like, "Hey, what's that?" And then he shows up, and Barugon doesn't like the cut of his jib, so of course, a fight commences. To me, it looks like Gamera got an upgrade between movies, but maybe the suit just looks more detailed because this film is in color. What really stuck out to me, though, is his roar. Yikes! Barugon also has a dreadful sounding roar. So between the two of them, this can be a very noisy movie. As for the fights, well, you've got two four-footed monsters, which means it can be harder to get so immersed in the action that you lose your awareness that what you're really seeing is two guys in suits crawling around on their hands and knees, duking it out. Barugon's movements tend to be pretty slow, but he can operate from a distance, and is somehow able to defy gravity at times, while Gamera has a distracting, dead-eye stare that makes you think, he might not be completely with it, but he has a far-reaching fire blast, so all things considered, I guess they're evenly matched. When a stiffening Gamera jabs his claws in Barugon's face, we see a spurt of purple blood. Looks kinda like paint, doesn't it? A hint of what's to come when a thawed-out Gamera comes back for round 2 to take advantage of Barugon's weakened state, becoming not the hero we want, but the hero we need. I would say that all the fights in the film, man versus man and monster versus monster, I think there are 2 of each, tend to run kind of long, but I've never been a fan of prolonged fight sequences anyway. One of Barugon's best and most endearing moments is his "Ooh, shiny!" reaction to the 5,000-carat diamond, which the humans use to try to lure him into a lake because apparently water is his weakness. Not all water, though, which is how he was able to survive his big, watery debut scene. Would have been a short movie otherwise. By the way, the American edit, released by American International Pictures and retitled War of the Monsters, was considerably shorter. Basically, it aimed to make the monsters more the focus by taking out a lot of exposition. But since I thought that the human-centric scenes were more interesting than some of the monster stuff in this one, well, it's a good thing I was watching the original Japanese version. This film is considered by many to be the best of the Showa-era Gamera films, even though it's kind of an outlier in the series because it doesn't feature a child. It's adult-oriented and relatively serious in its themes and execution, which is probably why some people prefer it over the later films that are overtly made for children. It features a good score composed by Chuji Kinoshita, who wrote some rousing battling our way through the jungle music. Also working in the movie's favor is a solid adventure element. As my mom pointed out, it's like a Tarzan movie. The journey, the jungle, the warnings from the locals, the threat of a curse, the treasure, the dangerous setting with the drippy, echoey cave inhabited by bats and scorpions, the money-mad villain. By the way, Onodera goes so crazy with avarice that in his final bid for riches, he makes a stupid mistake, leading to a humorous but satisfying demise. This is a decent, compelling, competently made, and convincingly acted Gamera film that doesn't go to extremes in either direction. It's fun without becoming bombastic, and it manages to maintain its sober tone without taking itself too seriously and becoming absurd. So those are my thoughts on Gamera vs. Barugon. I hope you enjoyed this People's Choice Gamera review, and thank you all of you who participated in the poll. I think it went pretty well. I would like to see one of the sillier, more notorious Gamera films from the Showa era, so I might do another poll in a couple months. I could go with the runner-up from this poll, but since 46% of the people voted for this movie, I would like to know what other movie, what of the ridiculous ones, they would pick for me. So I would do a whole fresh poll. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. If you have seen this one, please feel free to share your thoughts on it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.